Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to your favorite Sunday Tony conversation with the Love Crusader. And yes, we are on a new time today. We're experimenting a new time just because of what you said, guys. We heard you. Many of you said 6 p.m. is not so convenient for you, and so we are experimenting this time, and hopefully this will work. I don't, it might not work for everyone, but at least might be better. Welcome. If you're just joining the platform for the first time, it's called Conversations with the Love Crusader, and it is the platform where we talk about love, we talk about life, we talk about relationships, all in a fun way. So yes, I am your love coach. I am popularly called the Love Crusader, and I have my co-host Titi is joining us very soon. Emmanuel is already in the house, and it is Love and Question Sunday. Welcome, Titi. I was just doing the introductions. Yeah, so you can find us on YouTube at Men Fences TV, on Facebook at Men Fences, on Instagram, Men Fences _love, on TikTok, Men Fences _love. Welcome, everyone. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. You don't want to miss our live notifications, and all of the nice, wonderful things that we're talking about on this platform. All right, welcome, Emmanuel. Welcome, Titi. Are we ready to deal with the questions that we've gotten this week?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone.
All right, so this month we talked about absent fathers. We talked about absent mothers. I loved the conversations we had this month. They were so engaging. So many people engaged with us. From the point of even just raising the topic, people started talking to me about some issues around it. So I know it was a very engaging topic for a lot of people, and some people were touched. People learned a lot. So our questions are basically from there. And like I said, I always like to just choose two main questions that we deal with, because that's basically what our 1 hour can do with. But please don't stop sending in your questions. You know, we would even answer you off air, even when we're off air. So send your questions. We have a WhatsApp number that is attached to our Facebook page. And if you send a message from that WhatsApp number, to come directly to me, and we'll be able to talk to you. Okay. Titi, smile small now. What's up? You've not even smiled at our people today. Say hello now. What's up? What's happening at your end? You're missing
Hi,
me.
people.
Not seen me for a little while.
I'm trying to acclimatize to the new time. So,
Yeah, I know. It's still an experiment, though. Let's see if people prefer this from the feedback we get, and how it works well for us. Hopefully, this time I work well for other people. Let's just experiment it and see. All right, so I have a question that someone, um, of course, all the questions came from people. This one, is a bit tight, but I trust the grace of God to give us wisdom to deal with it. So, this lady is divorced. So the husband or ex-husband, of course, no longer lives with them. She has custody of the children, and excuse me, he has visiting rights. Now they are, first of all, he doesn't financially support her to raise their two kids. According to him, he lost his job because of the problem he had. So they had issues of domestic abuse that led to the divorce. And when his employers got to know, they sacked him. So according to her, he lost his job because of her. And so he doesn't have any money to give or support her. And this has been ongoing for a while. She has continued to, by the grace of God, take care of her children and their needs. Now she's gotten admission, scholarship, to go do her master's in Israel. and her man has refused, her ex-husband has refused to sign consent paper for her to travel with her children. So she's asking, what should she do? She's like, he's not taking care of these kids. He's not ready to be responsible for that. I am the one taking responsibility for them. And now this has happened. He's still refusing me to go with the children. What can I do? Please, let's help a sister. Who wants to start?
Well, I don't know which part of the world this lady is in, and I'm not too familiar with what the law says or how the law dispenses the law with regards to this. But I'm just wondering who gave him visiting rights, and the people that gave him visiting rights, they didn't talk about supporting the kids, So I'm not sure about how it works, but I'm just wondering. I thought both of them should go hand in hand. And if he says that he lost his job because of her, I don't think that's a reason in the court of law to say, is it working at the moment? I think that's the question to be asked. Are you working at the moment? If you're working at the moment, then I think you should be supporting your kids. And if you're not supporting those kids, then what gives you the rights? I don't understand that angle of consent. You have the right to give or refuse consent, but you don't have the right to provide support for your family. I don't get that. I Again, I really don't know how the law works, but to me as a layperson, it shouldn't be. They don't go hand in hand. It's just something is just wrong somewhere. So I think that the same way they were able to, I don't know how their divorce proceedings went, the same way they were able to agree and say, okay, you have custody, you have visiting rights. That's the same, they should go through that same process to determine so that she can be able to take those kids with her. So something is just not right somewhere, except I'm missing something.
Good questions. Good questions. Emmy, do you want to respond before I clarify some of the questions Titi has raised?
Well, I guess this is an individual situation where first things first is I would say that we don't know the full story. I think what we have is one diversion from one side. So it may not be very easy to, make statements that are quite conclusive in nature.
Mm-hmm.
We can empathize with the situation, but without understanding the full picture, hearing, both versions of the same story, it's difficult to just maybe, judge on one side. That's the first thing that is kind of important to keep in mind. Now, when the situation that's been described to me is not by any means amicable,
Mm-hmm.
and when the situation is not amicable, it's difficult to expect people to make rational decisions, right? So even what might seem like, oh, this should be rational, it is actually expected for people to be irrational when there is chaos and when things are not amicable. That did not sound as though I'm providing justification for the man's actions or inactions thereabout, but I'm trying to give a balanced response as much as I can without knowing the full details of what's transpired there. So, um, if the person has lost his job, like Titi rightly said, the next question is this person working? The next question that goes with that, does this person actually have a new family with new kids? What's the person's income really like? The woman in question, is she working? What is her own income like? All those questions are trashed out, during legal proceedings, so that there is a sense of fairness in terms of how the kids are being catered for. Now, when it comes to traveling with a minor, with kids, to the best of my knowledge, you need both parents to consent. That's my understanding of the law from this part of the world where I'm in. Don't know what the part of the world where she's at, but generally speaking, you can't take the kids, especially with the background that has been described. An acrimonious divorce means you just can't take the kids and leave the country, right? It's not acceptable by law. So if it's a case of, swallow your pride, find a way to get through to your ex for you both to be able to reason out what is in the best interest of these children, right? What is in the best, is it in the best interest of the kids, for example, for them to now be with the man? Since she's going to school as a student, will she be still be able to take care of kids, support them? There are many questions that you need to ask, and ask those questions objectively with the best interest of the kids in mind. So that's my quick take on it without knowing the full scope of the
Okay,
issues.
so let me give it a bit more background because I kind of know this story very well. Uh, I I know the I know the story from the point of the acrimony, according to Emmanuel's language, up until divorce and all of that and the court. So, um, the time they were chasing this matter in court, it was actually not working. But right now we don't know if he is, because even when they were married, they were not really living in the same town. So this guy lives a bit far from where she is, so she really cannot say now what he's up to where he is. But I've told her story here before. I mean, the night before she moved out of the man's house, he actually put poison on the table, put poison down, and put a knife, and asked her to choose which of the way both of them were going to die. And she had wisdom to say, "Oh, no, 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 it has not reached that level. I'm not even leaving," because she had said she was going to leave him. And so, "Oh, it has not reached that level. I'm not leaving. I'm not, no, no, no." And then just was able to, would I say, manage the situation the night until the morning. And in the morning, when she saw that she survived, it was morning, and he had left for work, she packed her load and ran. So that was the beginning of the end of that marriage. And yes, at that point when um he's a pastor, he used to be a pastor. So when his church, of course, heard, they said he wasn't a good example for a pastor, and then they dropped him. Now, the of course, the courts couldn't have awarded any financial commitment for him at that point because, of course, like I said, he wasn't working at that point. But for someone who's not shown any commitment and care to the children, how is it even how would it even be in the children's best interest to leave the children with him, for example? She's spoken to family members who have gone to speak to him, and he has said never. She's not taking his children out of the country. So what can she do? Titi, you're muted.
Then go back to court. Go back to
Yeah.
court. It's the court that said you have visiting rights. You are not working at the moment, so we can't say you should support. So go back to court. The court will review the current situation. Is he working at the moment? What has he done? What has he been doing up until the time they are talking? If he's working, then start supporting the kids. Then maybe they can talk about maybe them leaving, because you can't just say never. If you are saying never, what's the next option? What does he want?
Mm,
He wants her to leave the kids with you or with your family. If she does that, who will be supporting them? You
mhm.
know, I think it's just a case of, I don't know. I think it's the court that needs to decide this. I don't know if she has enough time for her to go to court and all of that.
Exactly. So the
But my
challenge with going to
thinking
court, the
is
challenge with going to court when I was talking to her about court is the time.
My thinking is you ought to have thought about this while you were in the because admissions don't just happen. These
Yeah.
things take time. So while you were in the process of preparing and planning these things out, you would have considered or thought, will this man allow this, or will he raise dust when this eventually happens? So
Mm,
I don't think, and because there's nothing you can do, there's really nothing you can do. Just like Ima said, you can't just up and live with those kids. So it's either defer your admission and sort this out properly, or I don't see any other option here. That's just the thing. I mean, I feel like she must have thought about this thing through the process of maybe getting putting out your application to the school and all that, So the court is just the answer, honestly.
Emmanuel, you agree? She should go back to the court. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I definitely second that idea of going back to, follow legal. You've already the pattern has been set because you both cannot amicably agree over what's in the best interest of the kids. So you need, legal institutions to step in and provide what they would deem to be the fair and best interest of the child or children in this case. So I definitely agree with TT on that. The best scenario would have been if both parents can agree to put their differences aside and think about what is the best interest of these children. And it might be what's in the best interest of the children is, for example, to leave the kids with the wife's family or the lady's family, for the duration she's in school, because she might not even have the full capacity to handle more than one child handling school. Those people who have done school know that can in and of itself be very challenging. So is that really in the best interest of the children? So if they're with maybe family in the interim and you go to school, husband continues whatever he's doing, or ex-husband continues whatever he's doing, and then we all circle back later, there should be options around what is in the best interest of the children. But yeah, I agree. If they just can't see eye to eye, then let them just take it back to court and settle it there.
So, based off on that, I don't know why I'm echoing. Based off of that, I want to ask why would it even seem like someone who has children, whether male or female now, in the general sense is what I'm trying to ask. Why would the best interest of the children not be the focus for anyone who has children? I know, I mean, and we said it here when we were talking about absent fathers. You divorced the mother, you divorced the father. Did you divorce your children? How do people come to a point where, because you have issues with your partner, then your children are left in the lurch? Your children are uncared for. You don't have, you don't feel the need to care for your children. And I need somebody to help me. How do people get to that level? And what do you think is the rationale? I know none of you are at that stage, but maybe help me try to get into their brain. It is smiling. This question, where's Mama going with it? The thing is, can you help me to dissect of their brain and give me, an analogy of why people would be at that level and at that stage?
Yeah, I don't think um because most of the times we look at situations in isolation, so it kinds of is it flaw our view or make us not see things holistically. Because taking this question now and saying, why would people do that kind of thing? We're looking at this issue now calmly, like normal, sane human beings. The two parties involved are not. They
Right?
are mad. They are angry. Even the person that was in the acts of the domestic violence and all, he is angry too. So these people are not in their right thinking minds. So, and people get angry in different ways. Some people get so angry, so upset, like they don't care. They want to prove a point. And if I want to prove a point, I don't care. Anyhow, any which way, the children will be fine. Leave them with me. You know, don't go with them. Never. You are not going with them. And the mother too is saying, I have to. She's probably talking from a sentimental standpoint. Like, they are my kids. How can you take them away from me? The ground is not level, is what I'm saying. We are looking at it at from a level playing field, or the aspect of the mother, the aspect, But for both parties, they are not thinking rationally. There's hurt involved, there's pain, you know, all there's ego involved in this thing. So those are the reasons that would make someone to act irrationally, you know and it's just sad. It's just sad. And just like Ima was saying, the solution might just be that she at the moment, you might not be able to go with your kids, because if you are the only one going, then how do you now take care of them? The solution might just be, okay, let them stay with a family member,
Hmm.
but she might not be seeing it that way, because I mean, they are my kids. I cannot afford to leave them with this man in this town. I don't know what he's going to do. So
Yeah, and if the ex-husband doesn't have a history of hurting or abusing the kids, because there are men that are great fathers, horrible husbands, and there are
yeah.
those that are horrible husbands, horrible fathers, but excellent husbands. So if it turns out to be the case where perhaps this person, by every account, is a good father to the kids, you might have a little bit of what's the word? Maybe trust. There's so much going on, like Titi rightly said. There's insecurity, there's fear. Imagine this kind of acrimonious divorce where there is just too much going on. There's possibly the fear in the man's mind that he will never see his children again.
Yeah.
If- and it's a legitimate fear, and that fear is
And
born
you will
out of
fight. You will fight like
exactly.
a wounded
There you
lion
go.
to.
No, the point is that even now it's not even seeing the children. It's not
Yeah,
making
but
effort to
they are
visit
close
the
by.
children. It's not
Exactly.
making efforts to visit the
It's
children.
it's
It's
it's a
not caring for
different
the
ball game
children.
if the
So
children are now
if
in a
it's
different
fear,
continent and
if it's
you cannot
fear,
just
because
wake up, stand up, go
you
see
get what I'm
them.
trying to say. It could make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. If his fear was, I don't want to miss my children, I don't want to lose my children, why is there no sign of, okay, these children are so important and so special to me at this stage? Why is there nothing to even show that
Maybe
these
if
children
he's not
mean
working, he might
something
not
to
be
you?
bold enough to go see those kids. If he doesn't have anything to offer as a man, if he is not working, he doesn't have the financial capability. That might be one of the reasons why he's staying back. You know, it's just a lot of things going on. So, I
I
mean,
understand that there's a lot going on and there could be a lot of, but I just feel like, and I think this is the reason why, one of the major reasons why we discuss what we discuss and we talk about these topics when we do them. It's for you to understand that it is not acceptable. Yes, the ground might not be level. Yes, you might be angry. Yes, you and this person may have fallen out of love. Yes, whatever it is. But I like that Emmanuel said, the question is, what is in the best interest of your children? Because these children never asked to be born. Hello. You know, the church I went to today, the pastor was saying that there are no illegitimate children. There are only illegitimate parents, in the sense that you as an adult made the choice to have sex and have children. And if you have these children, whether you say, oh, they were planned or unplanned, the moment children are involved, then your life changes. Your outlook to life has to change. Whether you are angry, you are binuing, you are vexing, your outlook to life has to always be, these innocent children, how will this affect my children? How would this impact on my children? I know a lot of people, and this is not to encourage people to stay in, difficult marriages without finding solution or help. But there are a lot of people who have stayed in their marriages because of their children, who've made the sacrifice to say, I want my kids. In fact, I heard one very funny story today. The husband and wife have been living together but separately in one house for almost 20 years. So there's no conjugal rights. There's nothing about marriage between two of them. Every one of them is in a different room. But because they said they wanted to still give their children there are two boys, a sense of family. They
Oh,
continue to live
please.
together in the same house.
What's that? What is that?
And I was saying to the person who was telling me the story, I said,
20 years, those kids are no longer kids. They know
my
what's
dear,
going
I
on.
was
So
saying
what
that
sense are you giving them?
it's now that the woman is saying she wants to start seeing someone else, she wants to start going out, she wants to, because now she feels the kids are grown enough. But my question that I asked at that point was, if they could tolerate each other for 20 years living in the same house, those two could have been able to make peace. Maybe if they had gotten someone who was able to come in and talk to them and go through some counseling, they would have made it. I mean, what didn't kill them for 20 years living together without being married? I hear new things every day. but
Yeah.
but this is the extent and the level to which some people are willing to make sacrifices for their children. That's the point I'm trying to pull out here.
But it is unfortunately also the extent to which is why I think part of our emphasis here is do everything you can to have a healthy marriage and a healthy home. Because the other side of not having a healthy marriage and a healthy home, like Titi said, there are people for whom there's no such thing as boundary when it comes to, let me say, fights, if that's the word to use.
Mm,
Nothing is sacred,
Mhm.
mm,
right? Nothing is special. Everything goes
Yeah.
because somebody wants to prove a point or wants to win.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate. It shouldn't be that way, is what we're saying, yes, but the reality is it is for many people, especially when people are hurt. Hurt people hurt others. And to hurt somebody, oftentimes you have to do something worse than what they've done to hurt you.
mm,
So
And hurt
if
the
for
people
give
around. Mm.
exactly. So it's very unfortunate. Honestly, it's best to try make every effort to have a healthy, happy, wonderful, blissful marriage, home as peaceful as possible. Because if chaos comes in, oftentimes everybody just lets go of our rational way of thinking. Now we are speaking rationally, but the person that is in it isn't thinking rationally,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So that's the recommendation. And again, please, if the situation has gotten past where this is no longer focusing on what's the best interest of children, if you have to take legal steps, do so. Those kids should not be victims of your failed decisions. And
mm-hmm.
in this case, I'm referring to both husband and wife. The marriage
Exactly.
has failed. The kids should not be victims of. In fact, they are already suffering the effect of not having one parent around. It's
Yes.
just only going to get worse from here, and it'll be difficult for you to protect them from the effects of this kind of breakdown. So just go through legal proceedings, and hopefully there is an amicable solution at the end of this.
All right, Emmanuel, you made a statement, and I want to take you up on that statement. You said that you can have a horrible father, and the father can be a good husband. I know I've heard that you can have a horrible husband and a good father. I mean, the children came out of him, so he might still want to be able to show love to his children. But can you really have a horrible father that is a good husband? Can you watch a man maltreat your children, for example, and still say he's a good husband? In what sense will he be a good husband? Please explain to me. That's
So
that's
horrible father. I guess when we hear the word horrible father, maybe we're thinking somebody who is physically abusing their kids and extremes like that. But being a father is more than just, okay, I don't beat my children or I don't physically abuse my children, and we should give you what you call it, a medal of honor, father of the year. It's more
mm,
than that, right? It's being present. Imagine growing up in a home where the father, so give you an example. The father remembers all the birthdays, all the anniversaries. He takes his wife to Paris, takes his wife to the best places she could ever dream about. He's all about her. He's constantly pursuing and loving on his wife. But he doesn't attend any of the kids' games, doesn't go for any, doesn't even know who the teacher is for the kids. He's too busy. When it comes to the kids, he's too busy with work and every other thing he's doing. It's possible to have such a scenario. And it's just a case of the person is absent. The person is absent emotionally. They may be there, they're providing, they're doing everything. They're not abusive to the kids. Whenever they're home, They probably say hello to their kids every so often. But in terms of loving their spouse, they love their spouse without any question. It is possible, unfortunately.
Titi, because for me, well, Titi, say your own first. Let me nominate who will
Uh,
see your mouth.
I don't think I don't think I agree either way. You know how they say you can be a good father,
Mm,
a bad father, a good husband, or a good husband, a bad father. I don't agree. I feel that they are too interlinked. They are too connected for you to be to separate it.
mhm,
Because what kind of love are you, except you're doing it for show, what kind of love are you showing the mother that is not extending to the kids?
mhm,
Now, I'm not saying you should be perfect because there are men, most men don't even understand how to be there for their kids, how to take care, how to just fill that position aside from providing. So I'm not expecting you, I'm not saying be perfect. But if you're going to love the mother, the way it's been described as she's so is in love, is active with the mother, you are going to love the kids. And if you say you just love the kids alone and you don't love the mother, one is an extension of the other. So if you're saying you love the kids, you're not concerned about the mother, you are failing already, is my point.
yeah. So because that's how I feel. I
Go
mean, if
into each other so much that
this is
they are
how
too
this is,
overlapping.
and I know maybe someone will say it's my emotional part speaking as a woman, right? I don't see the kind of love you will show to me that will make me overlook you're not being there for my children, or you're not being nice. Like you said, it might not be horrible, might not be bad, but you don't have the time for the children. You're not, as far as I'm concerned, that your love, I'll be seeing it as one-sided. And the same way, I mean, they will always tell you that one of the best things you can do for your children is to love their mother. Children watch the way you treat their mom. So no matter how well you take these children out, you buy something for them, but I mean, I was watching, and it's a Nigerian movie. I was just watching it on YouTube while working one day, and the man was really maltreating his his wife, abusing the wife, but so nice to the daughter. And the daughter wrote a poem at school about my daddy. She started with, "My daddy's a very good man. My daddy buys me this, that, that. My daddy kisses me when I go to bed at night. My daddy reads books for me, blah, 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 blah." Then in the end, she said, "But I'm confused. My daddy beats my mom." I know it was a film, but that's what's in it. You cannot erase that last part. No matter how nice the man is to the girl still says, "I'm confused." Because she sees this daddy that is so nice, so kind, so sweet to her, but the same daddy beats the mom. So I think that it's not going to be perfect anywhere. Let's agree. We know that. But we must, they're interwoven, like Titi has said, and one can't be without the other. So let's not tell ourselves, "Oh, I can be a good father. I don't have to love the woman." Anyways,
Well, let
let's go
me
back to
let
our
me
question. Our
let me
dinner
quickly
question.
make a comment to that, because
Uh,
when I made that statement, it was not made out of this is the ideal or this is what it
okay.
should be. So
Yeah.
it's important that I make that clarification. And a lot of the time we talk about what it should be, as in what the ideal should be.
Should be, yes.
However, the fact we say what the ideal should be doesn't negate reality,
True.
right? Which is why we're here, still pointing out, if the ideal were just by default known by everyone, we
Yeah.
won't be talking, right? We'll be good.
At
Everybody
all.
will not be
At all.
bothered, right? So,
Yeah.
but the truth of the matter is the situation that I try to indicate through that statement exists.
True.
It does exist. It doesn't have to be that we think it is right. Of course, it's not right, but it is doable. it's like saying, how
That's
can
the
one
problem.
person?
It's not doable.
It
Is
is
that
doable.
reality
The
I'm checking? Is that reality I'm questioning? Like,
the reason why it is doable, it's possible to love one person and not like another. Is it impossible with humans to do?
I get the picture Emmanuel is
It's
trying to
possible to
create,
express love to one
and it's
person in
true.
a certain way and think you're expressing love to another person in a completely different way.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
actually
possible.
really happening in some situations. I get what Emmanuel is trying to say, but I like the clarification to say it's not the ideal. That's the truth. It's not ideal. But there are people who think in their mind, excuse me, that this is what is okay. I love my wife. I don't have to love these children. Or as long as I have time. In fact, it's worse in situations where you talk about stepchildren, stepfather, stepmother situations. You hear someone, they want to marry a man who already has kids. A woman wants to marry a man who already has kids. But she doesn't want to take the time to know those kids and love the children. But you now claim you love the man. Hello, that one is not, it's not real love. How can that love even be genuine? You know he
Yeah.
has kids. He's a whole package, him and his children. If you truly love him, you will love his children. Okay, that's topic
There.
for another day. Let's try
Okay.
to move away from this conversation
Okay.
so that we can answer our second question. So for our sister in this situation, I like the fact that Catherine said here that this man is just trying to find a way to get back at this woman in a way that he feels will hurt the woman. And Emmanuel has said it that when someone is hurt, they want to hurt you back. So try as much as you can. Um Maybe still send more emissaries to try to talk to him and find peace. But if not, you might have to go back to the court, my darling, and see if you can get accelerated hearing. Um, because I know that you're working towards the deadline that you want to travel and you want to be able to go with your kids. I would love for you to be able to go with your kids. Let them go have that experience of another world. I mean, even if it's for 1 year or two,
we might
and
need
then
to
come
start
back.
considering the hard truths. Probably you might have to defer
That
your
yes,
wishes.
yes, yes.
It's
That's
not
the other
hard,
side of
but
it. True, true. You might have to prepare your mind that maybe, just maybe, you may travel without the children. Okay, everyone, we're taking a short break and we're going to come back. If you've not subscribed to our channel, this is your chance to do so. You want to grab a cup of water, you want to use the bathroom, hurry back. You want to hear our next question. Don't miss it. All right, we are back. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's Conversation with the Love Crusader, and today is our Q&A Sunday. We're trying to pick and answer some of the questions that you have sent to us in the course of the month as we have discussed some topics. Yeah, we've already dealt with one of the questions dealing with an absent father who is also trying to make life difficult for his X. All right, so this one is going to indict my sisters. When I heard these questions, I was happy. I always tell you people, I'm happy when a guy sends question because usually sometimes in a month I get close to maybe 8 or 10 questions, and it's mostly sisters. And I always wonder, why are the men not talking? Why are the men not asking questions? Are things not happening? Do men not need clarification? So when I get a man who sends me a question, I'm super excited, and that is why this question jumped to the front of the queue. So there were other questions sent in, but just because this came from a guy who really, really needs help. So Mr. A says he is in trouble. Married as a Christian, never lived with his girlfriend or fiance during courtship. Um, they used to meet in church. They used to go out, for dates and all that. And shortly, they got married. I think they dated for a few months, 8 months or so down the line. They got married. Now, when they got married, the first year looked good, but towards the end of the first year, she got pregnant. And from then, he began to notice that the wife is very lazy. And the kind of laziness that this brother has described is such that even I am ashamed. So she doesn't clean the house, she doesn't clean up herself, she doesn't wash, she doesn't want to cook. You have to force her to cook. Um, she leaves dirty undies around the house. He comes back, the place is messy. She wants to go to work without a shower sometimes. And he said he felt at the early stage it was because of the pregnancy. You know, maybe hormonal changes. She didn't know how to handle herself. It was her first pregnancy, and he was trying to help as much as possible. He was picking up after her. The baby came. Um, she is super careless even about the child. She doesn't pay attention to the child. She doesn't check. The wife can buy milk that is expired, for example, without checking whether it's expired or not. She's just totally careless about stuff. And so many times he's had to jump in because if he allows things to go the way they are going, you know, things will just get worse. So he has to cook. He has to take his child to daycare or whatever. The child is a little grown, and child go. They have only one child. She doesn't work. She's on her phone. The wife has all the social media apps. She goes from one to the next to the next. He said to me, is this not an example of being present but absent? He doesn't feel married. He doesn't feel that he knows his child doesn't feel like the child has a mother. So he's tired. He's spoken to her. He's reported to the mother. The mother has said, this is not how I brought you up, blah, blah, blah. She sleeps on piles of clothes. The wife can come to the bedroom, piles of clothes on the bed, and she sleeps on it. Let's help him. He said he needs help. What can he do?
My
She's
mind was
very
just going,
absent-minded. Your mind was just going round and round. So
and I have a lot of questions to
where
ask.
is this story going? He says she is very, very absent-minded as far as he's concerned. It's like she's not there.
I have I, I don't even know if there are questions or statements to make that might not be related to the answer.
Go
You
on.
know,
You're
but they
allowed.
just got me thinking, like, because when you started the question, you started with like, they are Christians, they dated right, and now see what is happening, you
Mm.
know.
That's how he started it. That maybe if he had
Fine.
visited her, he would have known that she was, like
Mhm.
dirty and
Yeah.
not somebody who clean and all that. That's
Well,
why he's giving that background. He
mhm.
didn't visit her.
Why? Why
Holiness
didn't
unto the
you?
Lord. Don't ask
Why
me.
didn't you visit
The
her?
church, the church where they are don't allow visitation.
Come on
She didn't
now.
visit him. He didn't visit her.
That's what I wanted to address. That,
First,
yeah, that's what I wanted to address. The question, why didn't you visit her? The fact that you're Christian and you want to date right does not mean that you won't know anything about the person. You know, when you're dating is the time for you to know almost everything, because time passes. You check up on each other, even if you're not in the same city. You check up on each other. Where are you? I'm on my way to work. I just want to take a shower. You From conversations you pick things up, from visiting you pick things up, and that's that. And from others, when explained, I find it difficult to believe that you couldn't pick any of these things up while you guys were dating. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. Maybe some things started coming out much later, but you didn't pick up on any of these things. It's kind of hard to believe. Again, I'm saying all the things I'm saying are not solutions. I'm just saying it to help someone out there, you know. And the last statement I want to make is that the fact that you're Christian and you dated right does not mean that you get married and everything will be perfect. You married a Christian human. You are a Christian human being. You are not perfect. So the fact that you did everything the right way is not more. As Christians, we date. One of the major reasons why we date right as Christians is an act of worship to God, because God says, yeah, because most people misunderstand this thing and think the fact that I didn't have any abortion, I didn't do this, now all these things are happening. It's ridiculous. Most of the things we do pre-marriage is because we are honoring God. God says to do this. We love God. We trust God. We believe in Him, and we do. It does not mean that it does not interpret that you will not have a perfect marriage because you didn't have 7 abortions. That means the children will not be coming pam 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 like that, or because you didn't have sex before marriage. Once you get married like this, sex is just going to be super. So I think as Christians, we need to begin to understand that first, so that we'll face reality and deal with issues because issues will always come when you get married, and deal with them when they come. So back to our brother. I empathize with this brother because it's just a lot of things. And again, just like any other thing,
He
I
has
think
entered one chance.
well, I think I've resolved. I think I've accepted the fact that with questions like this, you would always hear one side of the story. I
Yes.
think that's just it.
I don't even know this one's
Questions
wife,
anyway,
so I
except
can't
to
help
see
you.
the couple together. It's only one side. So the onus lies on whoever is listening to look at it objectively and say, So now that he has mentioned all of these things, is there anything, like anything, that the woman is doing right? Let me first of all state that, of course, none of these things he has said are the right things. It's not right. Why would you be living your life like that, especially as a woman? Like, I mean, it's not right. It's not right. It is. These are the kind of things, when women talk about their marriage is not working, they are going through a lot. This man is going through a lot. He's going through a lot. So it's not right. It's not right. But we're looking for solutions, right? So my question
Mm.
is there anything that um the wife is doing right at the moment that he can pick on? you know and he didn't really mention her, because he said they've talked about it. He didn't really mention what her response was. Does she accept it and just feel like there's nothing I can do about it? Or does she is she trying to get back at him for something, or
Okay,
what is
so
her
let me
response?
help you with that because he said from the conversation, she apologized, said, "Oh, that yeah, even before they got married, she noticed that she has a bit of social media addiction. She doesn't remember when time flies because she's online. Even she will not eat. Oh, is that bad? Like she doesn't even remember to even eat
Hmm.
through the house stomach. So he would notice that she would try to change for like a week, and then she goes back again.
Hmm. Because for him to be reaching out, I feel he still loves the woman.
Oh, definitely.
So that's why I'm asking questions like
Their
this.
marriage is less than 3 years. They
Yeah.
should still
So
be in the honeymoon phase, actually. So,
hmm.
Emmanuel, help this man. He's a man like you. Help him. Don't keep quiet.
I like it. I like
Help
that.
a
Is a man
brother.
like. Okay, so I think my own first. I like as Titi started from the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So let me also jump on a foundational truth, and that foundational truth is a lot of families, a lot of parents are raising social media children. They're
Mm,
raising virtual children who
mm,
know how to navigate the virtual world, but do
mm.
not know how to navigate reality. May God help us. We are
Amen.
responsible, those of us that are parents, God will hold us responsible for the ills that our children suffer in their marriages that are the result of us failing to train them, failing to
Mm,
teach them, and to correct them. So that's the first thing I wanted to put out there, because train up a child in the way he or she should go. When they are old, they will not depart from it.
mm.
If now, having said that part, number
Ọ̀rọ̀
one point here is, if it's a case of I really didn't know, this is the default. There is no other advice to give the man but to find ways to walk around the weakness of his wife and
ńlá.
then make up for those weaknesses, right?
Mm,
And find other ways that she can be a productive, fulfilling partner, wife, mother, right? If this is truly your spouse's default, you can complain about it. The person can talk to so many people about it. There's so many things you might try. But if it's the person's default, at the end of the day, finding a way to walk around it, to walk with this weakness so that you get the most out of this person would be number one
I
recommendation.
don't understand. What do you mean by default?
Well,
What do you mean by her default?
default means whether, there are people that are by nature very dirty. They may not be lazy. There's a difference between being lazy and being dirty. Somebody might be untidy by nature, meaning the person comes into a space, and what I may come into that space and see what is going on. This place is completely chaotic. It is scattered. It is this. The other person might come into the space and be like, what's the problem? That's their default, right? That person might be an amazing worker at work, right? Might do a great job. There are other aspects of that person's life that the person might take so seriously and do a great job. In fact, that person might be wonderful in terms of serving in church.
Intelligent.
Yes, and be wonderful serving in church in every department, right? Person
mm.
might have administrative gifts, but say, come and clean. What's wrong with it? It's okay the way it is. There are for some people for whom, and that's why I started by saying train up a child. Whether or not a person is clean or dirty has a lot to do with how they are trained. It really doesn't, nobody is born dirty. Nobody is
Yeah,
born
yeah,
untidy.
yeah.
So that's why I started from there. So we address default. This is how it now is. Okay. What do we now do around this? Becomes the way to think about it. Now, the other part of this is the fact that he mentioned the lady, these changes started during and after pregnancy. Now, for me, if this wasn't how it was prior to pregnancy, and this has now started happening during and after, we talked last week about postpartum, last week or 2 weeks
Depression.
about
Last week.
postpartum depression,
Yeah.
postpartum blues. That actually is a real situation. And it's not everyone that know how to deal with it. And you don't know for how long this person is going to live with that. So we have to consider the mental health of this lady. Again, if this wasn't the default from when you got married, and you notice this now started happening, okay, through pregnancy or post-pregnancy, see a healthcare professional, right? Go for some counseling. Let her talk to someone. Let them dig a little bit deeper to see if there is a mental health component to this. And if there is, let's find help. Because sometimes we may be pointing a finger at somebody. Meanwhile, whatever it is that's really going on is deeper than what's on the surface. So if there is something deeper going on beyond what we see in terms of her manifestations or what's happening, then let's provide that help and that support, because that's what she needs now. And as she gets well and gets better, the situation in and of itself will also get well and get better. Those are my 3 points that I had to make.
And your first point, you just threw me off. You blew me off totally. That is a nugget for the day. Like, we can just close right now. This is a challenge for us as 21st century parents who are raising children in this um, generation that we have found ourselves, where children want to always be online, want to always be on social media, want to always be on TikTok, want to always be on YouTube. And I mean, if you've raised teenagers, if you've not raised teenagers, you don't know what we're talking about yet. If you've raised teenagers in time, then you know how challenging and how difficult it is to drag them off their gadgets, whether they are boys or they are girls. So that's a very strong point to say. For let's start now to begin to say to them, there's a world outside the virtual world. There's a world outside TikTok. There's a world outside Instagram. And these things are not in themselves bad. We've talked about the uses of social media on this platform and how they can help us, even with finding love and staying in love and stuff like that. So it's not about the social media in itself. It's about the use, the control use of it. There's something they used to say in Yoruba language. I'm not Yoruba, by the way, so don't think I'm bringing my language here. They will say, "Gbogbo nkan lọlọ́run fẹ́, Ọlọ́run fẹ́ àṣejù." God loves everything, but He doesn't love anything you overdo. So when anything becomes an overdoing, it becomes an abuse of it. So if as a woman, as a lady, you're always burning food because you're on social media, always you're always abandoning your child, you forget to pick up the child, you're watching something on Z World. I remember when Z World just came in Nigeria. Many families fought on top of Z World. Why to not remember to cook dinner? Because they are watching TV. And I'll be wondering, what level of irresponsibility is that? Like Emmanuel said, it could be their default, but you can still be corrected. As much as I will support the man to say, yes, accept this as you have entered, you know, accept it and try to help and see ways you can help, find house help and all that and all that. At the same time, I think our sister can make the effort to change and stay changed. She learned it, like you said, it's something that was learned. You can unlearn, you can relearn. I like that a friend of mine here said he should take her home for 6 months. And I've seen this happen in real life. I know a man who married a woman, sent her home, sent her back home to go and stay with her mother. Say the woman did not know how to cook. To go and learn how to cook before she came back. So please and please, dear sister, dear sisters, not just this sister now, whoever you are, but dear sisters, dear brothers, social media is a blessing. Don't let it become a curse in your home. Don't let it become a curse in your marriage to the point where you leave your children unattended to. You leave the thing you should be doing in your family. And uncle, walk around the weakness of your wife. Instead of making it a problem that you will be crying around, carrying face around, and something that will now become, a burden to you, find house help. Maybe she grew up in a house where she was surrounded by maids. Low Tony now. Oh, Tony, it happens. Where the maid will clean the house, they fold the cloth, they wash the cloth, they even select the one the person will wear for the child. Don't you see it? That's how some parents allow maid work in their house. The maid will select what the child will wear, dress the child up, everything. There's a level to which a maid will help. And there's a level to which you start teaching your children independence to also do things on their own. Because they might be in a situation where here now in this country, it's very hard to get maid in this country where we are. In Nigeria, I used to have maid. My children were going to be, will I say they were those who would have been challenged because I was surrounded by people. I had helpers in the house all the time. And at a point, I started driving them to the kitchen to go and stay with that auntie that is cooking. Okay, auntie has cooked. You go and bring the plates. You do the serving or you do the washing of the plate after auntie has cooked. And I remember my sweet late sister-in-law will always be, no, leave them. No, I don't want to stress the children. I said, no, it's not good for them. She wanted to do everything for them. Bathe them, dress them up, choose their clothes and everything. Very hardworking, beautiful lady. Best intentions, of course, She was just happy to take care of her nieces and nephew. But Potential is not good for your child. So if you are the one that feel okay, you have servants surrounding you, you have house help, still find a way to engage your children, because tomorrow they will be in their own home and they will be required of them that they would live independent life as adults. All right, anyways, we hope we have been able to help you. My time is up as usual. Our 1 hour is up. But we hope we've been able to help you, with these questions we've answered and with our responses. If you have any questions, I'll say it again. We have a WhatsApp number. It's on our Facebook page. Just like the page. Once you like the page, you have access to that WhatsApp number and you can send us your questions. If you want your questions to be treated on air, you want us to have a conversation about your questions, send them in by the grace of God. It doesn't even have to be about the topic that we've treated that month. Any questions about love, about life and relationships. If we don't know what to do or what to say, we will signpost you to places where you can find answers by the grace of God. Thank you again, Emmanuel and Titi, for always sharing your valuable wisdom with us on this platform. Thank you, everyone who's come online. Thank you to our new subscribers. How did I forget that? 25 new subscribers last week alone. Oh my goodness. We need to clap for all of you. Welcome. Welcome to our world. And please keep sharing. Keep sharing. You could help someone with the information and the nuggets that we're sharing here. Knowledge, they say, is power. You could be empowering someone. One statement, one word from this platform could be the thing that will change someone's life. All right, we'll come again next Sunday, and it's with one of my favorite edition, the Love Seat. We're going to have a beautiful couple here. Come tell us their love story and how they are walking in their love journey. Again, thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Titi. We don't take you for granted. Thank you to Catherine. She stayed with us all the time. I think she's one of our newest subscribers, and she stayed with us, even engaging with us. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and for coming online. We see you. We love you. Have a love week, filled week, everybody. Bye.